Hello there, welcome here. My name is Jade and this is the Pierce Family Channel. A few videos ago you saw the insane effort we made to keep Isaac awake all night for a hearing test. That didn't work. Because the children's hospital we're going to has been moving buildings, Isaac has a hearing test scheduled for October 30th. We decided to go ahead and get his speech therapy evaluation done. I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about some of the paperwork they gave me about that evaluation and stuff that's been going on since then. At his 18-month well check, I talked to Isaac's pediatrician about his limited vocabulary. The only words he was really saying with any regularity were mama, dada, yeah, and maybe hey. Like a big old maybe. Didn't say it that much. And there were a couple more we had heard him say. I don't know when you start to count those things. Like he had said more, he had said a couple of other things, but I don't remember them being with any regularity or in reference to anything in particular. So she recommended a speech therapy evaluation and we had it done about halfway through September, which by that point he was 19 months old. This is what their diagnostic impressions were. Client presents difficulties in receptive and expressive language skills. Basically what happened was I went in with Isaac. I basically had a one-on-one with the speech therapist while Isaac kind of played. She had lots of toys. He got to pull everything out. And basically we talked and she got to see a little bit about how Isaac and I interact. And the questions she asked were more about the formal assessment. She writes here, mild deficits noted in the areas of pragmatics, gesture, and play. However, the client demonstrated scattered skills in areas well past his age. Presented with significant delays in both language comprehension and language expression. Client demonstrated solid skills in these areas up to 9 to 12 months and 6 to 9 months respectively. So on target for someone half his age essentially. Client has approximately 5 words he uses consistently, uses some animal sounds, and frequently uses gestures paired with vocalizations to communicate his wants and needs. Isaac does a lot of he's always done a lot of pointing. I've mentioned this before. I think that he's a very communicative kid. He just doesn't use words to get what he wants. He would point and like kind of, that's like the vocalization. Or he would go over to the fridge, place his hand on the handle and like let us know like, oh, that means he wants either something to eat or he wants milk. And we ask him, he can nod or shake his head and answer our questions. Oh, some animal sounds. He says roar, and for like a lion, a dinosaur, a couple other things. And then anything that looks like a dog says woo 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 woo, like woof. It says by the age of 19 months, the client should be using approximately 50 words, beginning to pair words together for 2-word phrases and imitating words consistently throughout his day. The client's mother reports he does not imitate frequently and no imitations were observed during the evaluation. So that's when they decided Isaac would benefit from speech therapy. Her subjective observations were the client was easy to engage, happy, and cooperative throughout the assessment. Results of formal testing and clinical observation are assumed to be a valid indicator of this client's current strengths and weaknesses. He was happy to be there. He loved it. He was just playing with a stranger's toys. He is so happy to impress people that aren't me. And that's kind of what we talked about too, was that even if I'm doing some of these things that she recommends at home, even if I've been doing them for months, he may not care. He's like, you're my mom, I see you every day. I have no need to impress you. But here's a person I don't see every day. Here's a person whose sole focus is to get me to talk. And so interacting with that person helps him learn to talk. That's all it is. This just goes through each of the categories of that formal assessment and talks about what he's doing on par with his age and what he has delays in. Interaction and attachment. He is able to play away from familiar people, request assistance, and retreat to caregiver when unfamiliar person approaches. So essentially he was playing by himself in there. I wasn't really like interacting with him because I was talking to the therapist and he was just playing with the toys. But when he wanted help with something, he would come over to me and ask me for help. Pragmatics, things he did well is he vocalizes during pretend play. He takes conversational turns. He points to objects. He can kind of control the behavior of others and he imitates other children. Things that are age appropriate that he doesn't do or uses words to interact with others and use words to protest. Gestures, things that he does are lead caregiver to desired object. He pretends to play an instrument. He pretends to feed others. He combs his hair. He hugs and he shakes his head no. So things he does well in play. He imitates housework activities. He uses two toys together. He plays ball with us. He places one object inside another. He hands a toy to an adult for assistance. He can stack and assemble toys. He performs many related activities and shares toys. He doesn't do the following age-appropriate skills, which is groups objects together and play. And I think this is kind of a tricky one because the way she asked the question was talking about like, oh, if he had a farm set, like, does he put all the animals in one area and separate things that aren't involved in that, which I just have never seen him do. For language comprehension, he does everything on par for like a 9 to 12 month old and some scattered skills up to a 2-year-old. He can identify 4 body parts. He understands simple commands. He understands action words. He can definitely understand 50 words. I think he can understand a lot more than that. Understands prepositions like in, on, gives object upon request. He responds to his name and understands simple questions. Things that he's not doing are identifying pictures when named, identifying 6 body parts on a doll, responds to requests to say words, points to action words and pictures. Responds to requests to say words. I was telling her, I think it's hilarious that I would say something like, Isaac, can you say more? And he would say, yeah, which is a response, just not the one that you would expect. And then the last category is where he struggled the most, language expression. The things that he can do are things like use sentence-like intonation. He imitates environmental noises. If he hears us make like a different gasp or something, he'll try and imitate that noise. He'll ask for more. He shakes his head no. He makes animal sounds. He varies his pitch. He vocalizes with intent. He imitates consonant and vowel combinations like mama, dada are the big ones. And then things he's not doing that are age appropriate: use single words frequently, imitate 2 to 3 word phrases, use 2-word phrases occasionally, talks more than gestures, expresses early modifiers, and imitates names of familiar objects. She says prognosis for improvement is excellent due to the following indicators, which is patient motivation, family support, and use of a home education program. She recommended services twice a week for 30 minutes each time. Her goals for discharge, aka when we'll be done with speech therapy, is that the client will demonstrate age-appropriate expressive and receptive language skills. Ooh, that was a lot. I feel like I'm talking a lot right now. I guess that's the point of this video. But I also wanted to share this, which is the early intervention parent handout for speech and language, aka the stuff that she gave me to work on at home, because I wanted to share some of the stuff that we are doing and what they're doing. 18 to 24 months, your child should have about 50 words, mostly nouns, and child can typically understand 150 to 300 words, which she says she thinks she's probably on track for. It talks about early literacy. At his age, he should be able to recognize certain books by the cover, listen to simple stories, likes to turn pages, attends to a book for about 2 minutes, points to and labels pictures independently. Well, she does all of those things except the final, and we've been working on that last one a lot, and he's actually started doing that. So these are some things that she gave us to work on at home. The +1 routine is a strategy to increase your child's utterance length. So the goal is to model a phrase just 1 word longer in length than what your child says. When he says 1 word, you add another word to it. You just add a second word. So he says more. He's really good at more. So we say more food. This thing called the 3-to-1 rule for increasing language. This is kind of difficult. So try to play intentionally with your child using the 3-to-1 rule for a few minutes each day. Sit down with your child and his or her toys. While you play, make 3 comments for each question you ask. So I'll use the example she gave me, which is like, say you're playing with a farm set. You have to make 3 comments about his toys before you ask him a question. So you might say something like, the horse is brown, the cow says moo, he goes in. 3 comments, and then ask, what does a cow say? something like that. It's hard. You have to think about it, and it becomes kind of a mental drain throughout the day. So what we've actually been doing is I'll pick out a certain toy, kind of like a speech therapist does, and I'll sit down with him for 15 to 20 minutes or so and focus on making 3 comments and asking 1 question. And even the speech therapist was like, I have a hard time doing this all day with my little boy. Like, it's really hard. That's why you are intentional about it for a certain amount of time. If you try and do this all day, you're going to get burnt out, and it's not going to be beneficial if you can't give it your all. Continuing self-talk. Self-talk is something we've been doing since he was basically born. Basically, I am talking about everything that I do all day. It is exhausting, but it's one of those things where you just gotta like suck it up and be like, this is how my kid is going to get all his language skills. So I do it. Withholding has been another really big one. And this one helps Isaac so much, especially because we've been introducing signs to kind of help with the words he's not saying yet. And withholding always works because it says, withholding is a simple strategy where you intentionally wait before you give him something until he communicates with you. Isaac wants a certain toy, and I'll make him say please. He knows that this means please. Whenever he says it, he gets the toy. It's as simple as that. He does that really well, especially he says more, and he actually says more. Like, that's one of his words now. He usually still does the sign with it, but he says the word more. I'm setting up communication temptations, aka finding a motivation and a reward in order to communicate. Sets up the environment in a way that entices your child to make a request that results in a positive experience. So if you know that you're playing with a toy that opens and closes, you know you're going to have him saying open a lot. That way, you know he's practicing language. Lighting change, I'm assuming. My camera battery died, and now Isaac is taking his nap. It is much later. And then the very last page of these handouts that she gave me are some signs that we can work on, and you always pair a word with the sign. So he's really good at more. He's got please down really well, and he does open. We're focusing on those 3 right now, just because one, he kind of mixes them up, and because the 3 of those things all mean like him receiving something that he wants. And that's kind of where we are right now with teaching him how to communicate, teaching him that if you use your words and your signs, then you get something that you want, and it's been working well. Isaac has had 5 therapy appointments so far, and he absolutely loves it. So for the most part, all they really do is play with him. And when they play with him, they are very repetitive, like with their language, and they kind of do some of the same actions over and over again, so he can like relate those words back to those actions. But he literally just loves it. We usually start off in their little classroom with a toy or 2, like focusing on one of those words, please, more, open, or she's kind of been starting like animal sounds and more things like that today. They also have this enormous gym in the back, which of course any toddler and like any kid would love. There's a big slide today. He really liked going. He wanted to go to the top of the stairs where the slide was and throw things down the slide. He's not really big into sliding himself, but he liked watching everything go down and then cheering and clapping for it when it made it to the bottom. And each time he would want something new to go down the slide, she would make him say more. So he would have something more to throw down the slide, and he really liked that. There's a big ball pit, which is where he learned the word ball. On Monday, he started saying it. Hey, Isaac. Hi. Do you want to play with the ball? Can you say ball? Ball. Because there's a big ball pit, and anytime he wanted another ball, he started saying ball. It was crazy. So since we've started, he's been doing more, a lot more. Isaac, you wanted more? More. Good job. Isaac, do another bite? Can you say more? More. Good job. He's got please. Isaac, you want me to sit in that chair? Say please. Good job. And he's got open. What do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to do with this? You want it open? Good job! Those are both brand new, and he says the word ball. Chase says he said the word truck the other day. I wasn't listening, so I guess my opinion doesn't count. He also said go the other day, as in she was saying ready, set, go, and he said go once, but it was at the very end. He was just really excited. He likes it a lot, which makes it so easy. I just wish insurance covered more of the payment for it, but such is life. Whenever we went to the evaluation, she said she didn't think it's going to take long to get him where he needs to be. She wants him to be on track, which around this age would be about 50 words, and making those 2-word combos and kind of imitating what we say, even if it's not exactly the right sounds, if it's like the right intonation type thing. So, and especially for his age, it's really normal to leave off the last sound. So if he says ca instead of car, that's normal and that's expected for his age right now. So he said car once also a few days ago. He said ca, but you know, you celebrate that like it's the real thing, and it eventually becomes the real thing. I'm sure that I have left something out. We love speech therapy so far. Isaac is obsessed. In fact, he has started throwing small tantrums when we have to leave, but that just means that he's happy to be there and what we are doing for him is working. I will say that I'm not sure that need is the right word for speech therapy in Isaac right now. Do I think he absolutely needs it? Do I think he won't continue to develop correctly and accurately and on track if he doesn't have language skills of a normal 20-month-old? I'm not saying I agree with that. Lots of kids wait. Like the example I keep bringing up is Isaac never stood up independently. He always had to have a hand on something until one day he stood up and started walking. He's always been kind of an all or nothing kid, and maybe that's just what this is again, like him not wanting to talk a lot because he knows he can't say everything he wants to say. So who knows if that's that situation. And even though I may not think he needs speech therapy, why in the world would I not do what is in the best interest of my child? Even if he doesn't need it, getting it is helpful no matter what. So why wouldn't I do that for him? Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for checking this video out. If you have any questions because I missed something or anything else, leave those down below along with your comments and anything else. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.